Hey friends, welcome to the Astrology and More podcast with the Cosmic Owl. I am your host, Courtney, and tonight I'm going to be doing a free mini reading for a Leo, a sun sign Leo. And so I like to do these mini readings because it's hard for people are always asking me what I do or how I do astrology readings. So this is a good way for people to understand what an astrologer actually does. So you can get your little printouts or your, PDF reports from Cafe Astrology, and I think Cosmic Patterns has some good reports that you can get instant. I typically use Cafe Astrology. There's a 24-hour turnaround. And those reports are really good at teaching you aspect by aspect and sign by sign, but they don't really do a very good job at blending the entirety of a chart or blending the chart together. And that's where an astrologer comes in. So it's always really good to get a reading with an astrologer so you can understand your main energies that you've got going on, that you're working with, that you were born with, and how the transits, which are the current planets, how they are hitting your energy system, your energy, your chakras. And so you can get a good understanding of how that's affecting you and the changes and the way that you're progressing and evolving through life. So with that being said, let's get started. So this person was born as sun sign Leo with moon in Capricorn and Mercury in Virgo. So when you're looking at a chart and you're getting the main energies, it's going to be the sun, moon, Mercury, Venus, Mars, and ascendant. But the main energies are going to be the sun, moon, Mercury, and ascendant. So Virgo is rising in this chart, and which makes the chart ruler, the planet that rules the sign that's ascending, that's Mercury, because Mercury rules Virgo. So Mercury is in the 12th house of enlightenment, of moksha, of mysticism, and so there's a very strong emphasis on this chart of someone being a healer. Also, the North Node is with Mercury in the 12th house. So this person may very well have gone into the medical profession, because you see, this is a house of service, and you see a lot of doctors, nurses, and people that are in the caretaking industry with their chart ruler in this house. So being a Leo, let's talk about the sign of Leo for a minute. So Leo has a notorious reputation for being very self-centered, egocentric, and with a huge sense of entitlement. And also there's a bad reputation for being narcissistic. And, that's just simply not true for Leos. Leo is one of the most self-conscious and insecure energies out there, because Leo is the sign that's of perfectionism. This is an eternally optimistic sign. So a lot of Leos hide their insecurities with this, this bravado or this overconfidence that's masking an insecurity. So, you can't believe everything you read about Leos, because like I said, Leo can be one of the most insecure signs that there is. So when the sun and Mercury are in two different signs, this creates quite the complex personality. So this person was born at 23 degrees Leo, and their Mercury is at 16 degrees Virgo ahead of the sun. So people that are born with their Mercury ahead of the sun in the next sign after their sun sign tend to blurt things out versus, they have a problem with like open mouth, insert foot. They tend to, say whatever's on their mind, it kind of comes out. Virgo is the, Mercury is the ruler of Virgo. So Mercury is a very dominant planet in this chart, and the sun rules Leo. So Leo is also, when the sun is there, it's a very dominant planet. It's the royal birthright of the zodiac, or it's known as the royal birthright of the zodiac. It's a very powerful placing, and people that are born of the sign of Leo, they have, they attract, people are attracted to their energy because it's a very, optimistic and encouraging and joyful energy, and people are attracted to that light. So, but the expression of Virgo and the expression of Leo are two totally different energies. Leo is full of life because it's ruled by the life giver. It's the sun, the life giver itself, the sun. And Virgo can be, Virgo is an energy that is very, by the book, and like crosses the T's, dots the I's. It's very structured, and it is a service, in oriented sign, meaning it likes to do things for other people and very helpful. And so it's very work oriented and structured. So when you see someone with Mercury in Virgo, or the Sun, Moon, Mercury, or ascendant in Virgo, if they're not working or working towards something, they really, feel if they have to earn their keep everywhere they go. They really feel like a piece of crap if they're not like working. They really like the structure of working and achieving things. So, but Virgo is a very insecure energy as well. And so it's not as much insecure as far as like looks and self-confidence, but it feels undeserving. Virgo energy can feel very undeserving, and that it has to earn its worth. Its self-worth can get tied up or wrapped up in service to other people and in what, they're contributing to society and their families. So there can be, depending on the childhood with the Virgo energy, there's a heavy sense of guilt and obligation with the Virgo energy. So, but Virgo is an introverted energy and Leo is an extroverted energy. So there can be a tug of war that's set up and taken place when the Sun is in Leo and the Mercury is in Virgo, because it's like, which is going to take the lead? The, extroversion of Leo, or is it going to introvert to Virgo? So they can keep their ideas a lot of times to themselves out of fear of judgment. Leo hates to be judged. Leo has a very strong fear of being judged. And so, with the mind being in an introverted zodiac sign, they can have a harder time expressing their ideas. But that doesn't need to be the case, because, Mercury in Virgo is very good at like coming up with and expanding or expounding on things to make them run more efficiently. It's the sign of the writer. So they're very good at creative writing and expressing their ideas through writing and even, like writing novels, blogs, and things like that. When Mercury and Venus are together, this can be creative as well. Venus is in Virgo in this chart, so there's probably some gifted ability for writing. And with Mercury being in the 12th house, there can be a talent for something called automatic writing. So if this person who has this chart doesn't know what that is, you should definitely look into that. But like basically like messages are channeled through you and it comes out in written format. The Sun is in the 11th house. So the Sun is in Leo and it's in its opposite house that it naturally, rules. The Sun rules and Leo rules the 5th house naturally. So it's in the Aquarius house. So this is a very progressive Leo, and there's going to be the Leo energy is going to be shaded to the Aquarius energy, quite naturally. So this is a Leo who's probably not going to fit in, but with society that's ahead of their time, but wants to fit in more than anything. And so Sun in the 11th house people want to belong to groups and organizations, and they need to feel that they are making making the world a better place. This is we're keeping in mind that Aquarius is the sign that is ahead of its time, that likes to, change the world for the better, likes to improve upon the world. So when the Sun is here, they want to leave the world a better place than when they got here. So they're really big into, there's a person who is big into like holistic remedies, like naturopath, Reiki energy healing, yoga, Pilates, astrology, numerology, things like that. This person's soul is kind of attuned to and can be very gifted at. Now, with Mercury in the North Node being in the 12th house of the past life, this is a person who could have, learned a lot of these mystic things in the past life and are tasked with bringing them over into this life. And it's going to be through meditation and quieting the mind and opening yourself up to the universal consciousness, because your mind has a direct link to the cosmos when you have Mercury in the 12th house. Now, because the 12th house is, it kind of puts a fog over things, and it's like it's a water house. So it has a harder time expressing the energies of whatever planet is in this house, can be kind of watered down. So there can be some hesitancy expressing their mystical side, but it's definitely part of their soul direction and their soul development and their purpose, because the North Node, which is where you're headed, the lessons and the things that you're supposed to be developing in this life and working towards, that's your North Node. The Mercury is with the North Node in the 12th house. Okay, so Moon in Capricorn, the moon is at 27 degrees in Capricorn. So right now, Pluto is at 27, 28 degrees Capricorn. So this can be this can be a very emotionally upheaval time in a person's emotional life. There can be some power struggles with the mother at this time, or things can be coming up that have been buried from childhood, because the moon is in detriment when it's in Capricorn. Now, the reason this is because obviously the moon rules Cancer, and so Capricorn is Cancer's polar opposite sign. The moon itself has an energy of expression that wants to connect, wants to bond, wants to form emotional attachments to other people. And so its home sign is Cancer. So the opposite of that is Capricorn, that's very business structured, that is, it's a Saturn ruled sign that's just like wants to get down to business, and it does what it needs to do. And so when the moon is in Capricorn, which, ruling the mother, the relationship with the mother could have been very business-like, and there could have been not a lot of emotional nourishment during childhood. Now, for whatever reason, it could be because maybe the mom had other children and she was busy working. Maybe she was a single mother and she was the sole provider and she had to work all the time. And so maybe this person had to take care of younger siblings, and a lot of responsibility was placed on someone who was born with moon in Capricorn's shoulders early on. So what happens is it causes a split and a detachment of one's own emotions to be born with moon in Capricorn, and you don't want to burden other people. So the self-worth, there can be an undeserving, a very heavy undeserving of love type emotional programming, because you didn't have anybody to emotionally depend on but yourself growing up. So moon in Capricorn people don't like being vulnerable at all, and don't like being indebted to other people, and so can weigh matters of love and bonding in terms of how, they're always thinking, how is this going to hurt me? Like how bad do I want to even get attached to this person? What's the chance that they're going to hurt me? So they're always weighing that. And if there's a chance that you're going to be hurt and you're not on the top structure of the relationship of keeping people at arm's length, you don't want people to get close to you. So there can be a hindrance in the expression of the love and affection energy when you have moon in Capricorn. It can be a lot harder because of the vulnerability. You have to go to a vulnerable place to be able to express love and affection and things like that. You have to be willing to take a risk of being hurt to bond with people. And so, Capricorn weighs that very heavily and doesn't like to get invested in relationships where there can be a feeling or a loss of the emotional control. Feelings are messy to moon and Capricorn people. So with Pluto being here on the ascendant, on the moon at this time, a lot of emotional upheaval and a lot of things coming up, and exposure and revelations of your own emotional vulnerability and how you've kept people at arm's length to avoid being hurt. So one of the things that you can do at this time to help this transition of this transit, or help the way the energy of Pluto is directly conjuncting your emotional centers and welling up all kinds of dirty, nasty emotions you would rather not feel, is to do some inner child guided meditations that's focusing and targeting on your self-worth, because there can be a low feeling of self-worth with moon in Capricorn. Okay. And that will help. The guided meditations targeting your subconscious will help, and healing the mother wound will also help. Okay, so Mars is in Scorpio. So if there is a mother wound, a strong mother wound in this person's life, Mars in Scorpio doesn't like to let go of that anger. You know, Mars is your anger center. Mars is your fight or flight. Mars is your you know, the way that your fighting style, and the, you know, how intensely you feel anger. And so when Mars is in home in Scorpio as the co-ruler of Scorpio, I mean, it's really a very vindictive placing of Mars. And so you can store a lot of anger over the years. And with Pluto being on the moon, this is like really welling up at this time. So Michael Seeley's releasing anger and resentment would really help that as well. Now, there is a very it's an out, you know, it's an out of sign opposition, but it's by house. So Mars and Saturn are forming an opposition from the 2nd to the 8th house, and Chiron is with Mars. So a lot of times when you see this placing with Mars and Saturn forming this opposition on the 2nd and 8th house, this can be very indicative that there was some abuse during childhood, very strongly. That could have been at bare minimum of the physical nature, but more often than not of a sexual nature. Chiron is with Mars, and keeping in mind that the 2nd house is the house of your values, it can be, you know, a house of the way you value yourself and your physical body. But Chiron being in this house with Mars, a lot of times you can see a wounding of the sexual nature, because Mars is sexual energy. The 8th house is the house of power, of secrets, of the occult, of abuses. So Saturn being in this house can oftentimes be indicative of abuse and trauma during early childhood. So if that's the case, definitely Pluto's digging that up. And so I want to encourage you to you know, seek therapy, book a session with me, or the guided meditations will be profound and help you tremendously. So we have a stationary Pluto in the 3rd house. Now, Pluto in the 3rd house can indicate a power struggle around a sibling. Now, I'm a psychological and a spiritual astrologer, so I help people find their place of wounding so that they can address it and become an integrated person, mind, body, and spirit. Transits dig up these things that we would rather forget at this time. So Pluto being in the 3rd house, the 3rd house is siblings, education. It's a communication house. Gemini naturally rules this house. We've got Scorpio on the 3rd house cusp with the ruler of the 3rd in the 3rd house, and it being Pluto. So there can have been some bullying with the sibling. Whenever you see Pluto in the 3rd house, there's at bare minimum some sibling rivalries, some jealousy, and one sibling could have been mean to the other one. So, but this makes for, you know, setting that aside, this makes for very good investigative mind, where you like to, you know, you probably are very interested in like investigative Discovery Channel, crime scene detective, forensic analysis, and things like that would be excellent, you know, as entertaining, and you're very gifted with solving those types of crimes and stuff like that. So the 5th house, we have a stellium in the 5th house with the moon, Neptune, Uranus, and Jupiter. Now, what is the 5th house? The 5th house is the house that Leo naturally rules. It's the house of self-expression. It's the house of romance, like that romance when you fall in love. It's the house of speculation and gaming or gambling. You know, it's a creativity house. You can see musical talent in this house. You can see, like, you know, popularity, social media influence in this house, because this is the sun's natural the house the sun naturally rules. So when there's a stellium, when the moon is in this house, these people are really excellent with working with kids as far as teaching. I see a lot of teachers with the moon in this house. And when the moon and Neptune are in conjunction, in this chart, this person has an exact to the degree at 27 degrees conjunction between the moon and Neptune. This is one of the most psychic placings that you can be born with. You can have a lot of paranormal activity. You can see ghosts, spirits. You can have a lot of precognition in your dreams. Deceased and passed on relatives can come and visit you and give you insight into things, or even just provide you comfort. And so with Pluto activating this at this time, I think there's going to be a big paranormal uptick. You can have a lot of visions and things coming to you in your dream state. And even in the dream state at this time, because you can be dreaming of apocalyptic scenarios where like the world has like rolled back to the 1800s, like catastrophic changes. And that's going to be, signaling some upheaval coming that's from the subconscious level. And so I'm definitely, Capricorn is ruling this house cusp, and the ruler of this house is in the 8th house of the occult. So where can we see creative self-expression, and where this person is going to be shining at is going to be things of the 8th house. So the 8th house being astrology, the occult, which means things hidden, mysticism, shamanism. There's going to be a very gifted psychic development that this person is tasked with in this life, with this focus of this stellium of bringing forth and putting on the scene. This person has a natural mystic chart. I'm seeing a massive amount of light workers waking up everywhere. So I want to encourage this Leo to really step into your power and to go into maybe the Kelly Howe's Destiny Guided Meditation and the Secrets of the Universal Minds, unlocking through meditation and unlocking what you're supposed to be doing with these psychic gifts. With the sun being in the 11th house, I would definitely think of a prominent career in numerology. The 11th house is the Aquarius house, and I tend to see a lot of numerologists have the sun or have a focus there, because the sun is working in opposition to the 5th house. So bringing forth these gifts, of the 11th house and that you learned in your past life. It's not going to be like learning new things. It's going to be like remembering. The 10th house cusp has Gemini on it. So the ruler of the 10th is in the 12th house. And so you can see that this person is definitely tasked with bringing forth psychic and mystical gifts in this life, of how they're going to earn their money in this life. So I want to encourage very strongly you going into those guided meditations and doing them for a 6-week block, and really working on your subconscious and your mother wound and your self-confidence, because the moon in Capricorn can have a very damaged self-confidence and fear of rejection that can hold them back from their destiny. And this person has a chart that was born to shine, and a lot of gifts that they are born to put, that they're supposed to be sharing with the world. There are people that are waiting to hear from you. There are people that you have the answers to that would help fix their life. And so getting to that place, healing that mother wound, that moon wound, and healing the damaged self-confidence is the key for you being able to step into your own power and display and present your gifts for healing, and use those gifts for healing for other people. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this free mini reading. This is just like a minute portion of someone's chart. If you would like your chart read, or if you'd like to book an appointment, you can do so through the Cosmic Owl Facebook page. I'll be launching a website this week that you can book your appointments, have access to my articles, my videos, and I hope you'll have a wonderful week, and I will see you later. Thank you so much for all of your support. Bye.